Hello, everyone. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is your Weekly Dose of Wicked.
On this day of Podcastmas, my favorite podcasters gave to me 12 poisonings, 11 eyeball pluckings, 10 sleepless weekends, 9 missing hobos, 8 awkward dates, 7 medical malpractices, 6 southern stabbings, 5 golden rings, a quadruple homicide, a few cryptic notes, 2 teenage dirtbags, and a lunatic ex-husband.
Ho, ho, ho!
You've already done that.
No, I was doing something different, but you interrupted me.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, ho, ho, ho. That's what people say when they see Ashley walking down the street.
Fuck you.
That was funny, and you know it. That was a good one.
Not really.
It was funny. So how are you tonight? What are you drinking?
Wine.
Oh, yummy. Thank you for joining me on this 8th day of Podcastmas.
Are we leaving that intro?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I thought it was funny.
Okay, whatever. That's fine.
Anyway, thanks for joining me on this 8th day of Podcastmas.
There's nothing better I would want to do.
Means today. Oh my god, my stomach's gonna be so loud again. You have any idea how hard it was to edit around my stomach grumbling?
Sorry.
For anyone that cares, I have Crohn's disease, and I like how I said that. I have Crohn's disease. I don't know. For anyone that cares, I have Crohn's disease. So if you hear my stomach grumbling, it's not my fault. It's just really angry. That's what happens when I get stressed. My stomach gets mad.
Right, you got too much stress going on.
I'll try to edit them all out, but I don't know. It's really loud. I'm not hungry because I already ate dinner. But anyway, moving on. Like, can you hear it?
Yes.
It's really mad. All right, sorry. Anyway, it is now the 20th of December, which means Christmas is just 5 days away. If you celebrate Hanukkah, then you're right in the middle of celebrating. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, it's coming up. So whatever you're celebrating, I hope you're enjoying yourself. Moving right along. On the 8th day of Podcastmas, my favorite podcasters gave to me. Was that your phone going off?
Yeah, I forgot I was cooking pasta. I need to go get it off the stove. I'm so
Hurry
sorry.
up, Ashley. Hurry up.
Sorry.
How do you forget you're cooking pasta?
Because I got distracted so many times. Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry. Mom's finishing my noodles.
How nice of you to join me.
I'm sorry.
The amount of disrespect.
I'm sorry.
Leave me freezing in my garage so you can go make pasta. Rude. Anyway, back to it. All right, so on the 8th day of Podcastmas, my favorite podcasters gave to me 8 awkward dates. All right, so going into this, I would like to start off with, I feel that the 8 awkward dates naming is extremely insensitive.
Yes.
After researching the case, I mean, obviously I already knew what the case was. I don't know why we ever thought 8 awkward dates was a good name for today's crimes. Clearly, we just were not thinking of like how insensitive that truly is.
I don't know, because we said.
I just want to apologize in advance for that. Next order of business. If you do not like crimes about children, if you do not like cases about a sexual nature, we still love you, but we don't want you to be uncomfortable. So see you tomorrow. That being said, let's get started. Also, this people will probably get mad. It is what it is if you get mad. This is literally just like a skimming of this case because it is such a huge case. I probably could have done 5 parts on it. Obviously, you'll know in just a second what it is. But yeah, so that being said, a lot of things are going to get left out. It's Podcastmas. We weren't trying to do, like multi-part episodes. So we can do a deep dive on it, but we'll do that maybe like on the Patreon. Let me know if you guys want it. But anyway, without further ado, let's go.
Yeah, it was really bad choice for this case. We should not have chose it.
It was really bad case. Yeah, we should not have chose this, and we also should not have named it like 8 awkward dates. Like ha 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 ha. Like no, it's not. They're not awkward dates,
and it's not funny.
And it's not funny at all. Not even a little bit. It's actually disgusting.
So we're sorry.
Yeah, but it is what it is. We've already done it. I mean, there's really no going back now. We're too deep into Podcastmas, so here we go. I started this case off a little differently. I hope you like the change up. I started kind of like at the end instead of at the beginning.
Ooh.
I know. Are you ready? On June 20th, 1979, 12-year-old Robin Christine Samso went missing from Huntington Beach, California. She was riding her bike to ballet lessons when a man approached her and her friends and asked if he could take their pictures. Her body was found on July 2nd, 1979 in the foothills of LA off of Santa Anita Canyon Road. Thanks to a description that was given by Robin's friends, police were able to have a sketch made, which they then circulated through Orange County, California. A parole officer recognized this man immediately. It was Rodney Alcala. He had previously been arrested for assaulting a minor. Police would end up searching Alcala's mother's home, where they would find a receipt for a storage locker in Seattle. Now, I thought to myself, Seattle, that's crazy. Like, that's a really long drive to be having a storage locker. Seattle's in Washington. It's not even that far away. I don't know what I was thinking.
We don't know geography.
I mean, I do. I don't know what I know it's in Washington. I know Washington's right by California.
Well, I didn't know that, so I don't know geography.
Okay, well, I knew that. Okay, so anyway, in the storage locker, they would find Samso's earrings. Rodney Alcala was arrested without bond in July of 1979 for the rape and murder of 12-year-old Robin Samso. This would become a huge case, and I spelt it just like that. Huuuggeeee.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought you would. So anyway, you see, in 1978, Rodney Alcala appeared on The Dating Game, a popular reality game show type thing. So he was introduced as a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the darkroom at the age of 13. Between takes, you can find him skydiving or motorcycling.
That was a nice voice.
That's my game show host voice.
I like it.
It's super weird to me that he did not mention his love for murdering young girls when he went on this show.
I don't think I would probably mention that either.
I said that that's a real lady winner. So.
No, it's not. Not at all.
I'm just saying. It's interesting to me.
It's something to know.
Yeah.
But would it win him over? Probably not.
Rodney Alcala came across as very charming. He actually ended up winning the show, and he won a date with the Bachelorette, Sarah Bradshaw. Unfortunately, Sarah found him to be extremely creepy, and she refused to go on a date with him.
He was creepy.
Probably the best choice she ever made in her life. I accidentally just started updating my Audacity.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. It's probably going to, I don't know what it's going to do. I'm sorry. This is awkward. So embarrassing.
So embarrassing.
Yes, so embarrassing. Okay, I think it's done. So sorry. Super embarrassing. Okay, so anyway, back to what I was doing. So that's probably the best thing she ever did in her life. She probably saved her life there. Just saying.
Yeah.
So
Good
a
call.
little early life background. Rodney Alcala was born August 23rd, 1943 in San Antonio, Texas to Miss Ana Maria Gutierrez and Mr. Raul Alcala Boquar. I'm not sure if the pronunciations of those are correct, but that's what I'm going with. So in 1951, Raul moved his family to Mexico, where he would then abandon them a few years later.
Nice.
So that darkroom story probably never happened since Rodney Alcala's father pieced out before he ever hit the age of 13. In 1954, Ana Alcala's mother moved with her 3 children to Los Angeles, California. Rodney Alcala joined the Army at the age of 17 in 1961. Thought that was illegal, but I don't know.
What do I know?
I don't know. In 1964, Alcala had what is described as a nervous breakdown. He then went AWOL. Just a little fun fact, at the time, he was stationed in Fort Bragg in good old North Carolina.
North Kakalaki.
So it's reported that he hitchhiked from Fort Bragg all the way to his mama's house back in California.
That's a long hitchhike.
Yeah, it is quite a long hitchhike. After that, he received a medical discharge from the Army as he was taken under psychiatric, I don't know the word, but anyway, a psychiatrist decided that he was no longer fit to be in the Army, so they gave him a medical discharge due to his mental illness.
Gotcha.
Alcala would go on to attend UCLA School of Fine Arts and study film at NYU. So now let's move on to the crimes. I put here that I want to make it known that I find this man to be a putrid waste of existence.
I like that description.
What I put in my notes. I also find it disgusting that he was allowed to commit as many crimes as he did, given the amount of times that he was arrested and then released.
Yeah.
I'm all for rehabilitation, but at what point do we decide that someone just cannot be trusted to be let back out into society? Because that's how I feel about this man.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've heard a whole case on him, but he was arrested a lot.
Multiple times. He was arrested multiple times.
That's crazy that they just let him out every time.
Yeah. Yep. So Robin Samso was essentially the beginning of what we now know as the notorious dating game killer. So, while he was only convicted of 8 murders, it is suspected that he committed as many as 130.
That is quite a discrepancy.
Yes.
8 to 130.
Yeah, it is. Well, he's only convicted of 8, but...
I don't remember it being that many.
Well, that's how many it is.
It's crazy.
I would know. I'm the professional.
You're not a professional.
I'm the expert.
Okay. If you say
Not
so.
really. I'm not an expert. I'm just joking. That's just a joke. I'm not an expert. Half the time, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, he was active from 1968 to 1979. He collected over 1,000 photos of people. Most of them were in sexually explicit poses. That's where the 130 comes from. So of the 1,000 photos, they released like 120 of them to the public to see if they could help identify the people. But over 900 of them couldn't be released because they were completely nude. Also, jewelry. There was a whole bunch of jewelry, like over 100 pieces of jewelry that he had. And they assume each piece belongs to a different person. So again, it very well could be 130 people. We're never going to know, to be honest, though.
Right. Like trophies.
Yeah.
Because that's what those creeps do.
Yeah. So he would tell people that he was a photographer. And apparently he was really charming to some extent because he has hundreds and hundreds of models in his pictures. So many people believed him. One of his coworkers had said that he would bring a portfolio to work with him and regularly show them the portfolio. Most of it was young boys and girls. And when his coworker asked why he had taken the pictures, Alcala said that the parents wanted him to do that. But a majority of them were naked. So I don't think that the parents actually wanted that.
Probably not.
The coworker said he was just young. He didn't really know any better. So he didn't really think anything of the book of naked children that he was being shown. It was the 70s. It was a wild time.
I guess so.
Yeah. So Alcala's first known crime was on September 25th, 1968, when he lured 8-year-old Tally Shapiro into his apartment. Neighbors saw him taking her up, and the police were called. When they arrived, they found Tally alive, but she had been raped and beaten with a steel bar. Just to give you an idea of exactly how brutally she'd been beaten, she was in a coma for 33 days.
Oh my gosh.
So, like, he didn't just, like, smack her.
Brutally.
He was going to kill her had the police not shown up.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, one thing I watched said he answered the door to the police naked.
Like, just like full on naked or like...
That's what it said. That he answered the door naked and was like, oh, hang on a second, guys. And then when the police like got sick of waiting on him, they busted the door in and he was gone. Because he then avoided arrest by fleeing California and he headed to New York. So he essentially just like pieced out, left the little girl in the floor. And at that point, it was only one officer. And that same thing that I watched said like the officer had to choose between going after this dude that had just beat the living crap out of this little girl or saving the little girl's life. And so he chose to save the little girl.
Right.
Because he couldn't do both. He was by himself.
That was a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but he went on to murder a lot of people. I mean,
Well,
obviously, yes, it's good that he saved the little girl, but had he went after him and caught him, there would be a lot of people still alive.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that.
I mean, I hate to say that and be like, I mean, obviously, I'm happy that he saved the little girl, but at the same time, he could have avoided a lot of hurt.
Yeah, that's true.
Had he caught him then.
I didn't think about that.
Because again, this is his first crime. So this is his first known crime. I think that based off of the brutality of the crime, I don't think it was his first crime.
Right. Doesn't sound like it.
This is his first known crime. So anyway, he headed to New York. In New York, he started to use an alias as there was now a warrant out for his arrest. And his alias was John Barger. Later, he would change his alias to a much more secretive alias. That would be John Berger.
Oh, much different.
Yes.
Idiot.
Yes. I mean, he clearly wasn't that big of an idiot. He was on the run for a long time. But I just thought that, like, John Barger? No. We're going to change it to John Berger now because that'll throw people off my trail. Whatever. One letter difference. But anyway, under this alias of John Berger, he began counseling children at an art camp. Great job for him. In 1971, Cornelia Michelle Crilly, age 23, was found strangled in her Manhattan apartment. She'd also been raped. Her murder would remain unsolved for 40 years until 2011. Also, in the same year of 1971, Rodney Alcala was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives for his crimes against 8-year-old Tally back in 1968, which to me was also kind of crazy that he was on the FBI's 10 most wanted for one crime.
I mean, it was a brutal crime.
I mean, I know, but I just thought that was really crazy. So he actually would end up being found thanks to that art camp that he counseled. A few of the students saw him on a 10 most wanted fugitives poster at the post office, and they reported that Rodney Alcala looked a lot like their counselor, John Berger. So, unfortunately, after Alcala's arrest and extradition back to California, all that they would actually be able to charge him with was child molestation.
Why?
Because Tally's parents had relocated and they refused to let her testify against him at trial. So the attempted murder and rape charges were dropped, and he was sentenced to 3 years for child molestation. Yeah. There's your first issue right there, is that occurred. He was then paroled after 17.
After 17 what?
17 months. So not even 2 years in prison.
Oh, didn't even get to serve his whole 3 years.
Nope. He then was arrested again 2 months later for assaulting a 13-year-old girl. Depending on what you read, he either assaulted or he gave drugs to her. Either way, he was messing around with a 13-year-old child that he should not have been messing around with.
Right.
But again, he was released on parole after serving just 2 years. In 1977, Alcala was allowed by his parole officer to travel to New York City. It's an interesting choice, I would say, since, this guy is attacking young girls, and he's already evaded arrest for years. So I'm not really sure why we would allow him to get on a plane and fly across the country, but what do I know? I'm just a podcaster.
Right. You know nothing.
So it is now believed that while he was in New York City on that trip, Alcala killed Ellen Jane Hover. Ellen was a 23-year-old daughter of Herman Hover, who owned a popular club in LA. Ellen was also the goddaughter of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. So this was a high-profile case. In case you weren't aware, both of those men were famous people.
I gathered that, but I don't know who they are.
I didn't know either, but I Googled them. Apparently they were really big deals.
What were they?
They were like singer, actor, director. Like they're just a big deal in Hollywood.
Okay.
Ellen's remains were found by the Hudson River, buried under heavy rocks. Her body actually was not found for a year, so it was buried under heavy rocks. Pretty good. And also, no one would realize that Rodney was involved for 30 years.
Right.
In 1978, Rodney Alcala was in the Hillside Strangler investigation, but he was ruled out. He did, however, go back to jail at that point for marijuana possession. So, now that we went through those past crimes, we're back in our present time of 1979, when he is now arrested and held without bond for the murder of Samso. So, just a little fun fact here. Rodney Alcala was tried 3 times for the murder of Robin Samso. He was found guilty all 3 times, but the first 2 trials were appealed, and therefore he was retried, which to me is also crazy. Like, he's just keeps getting found guilty, and they still keep giving him new trials.
Right. After the second time, that's enough. Sorry, dude.
Right. I would agree, but whatever. Between the second and third trial, Rodney Alcala wrote and published You, the Jury, in which he claimed innocence of Robin Samso's murder. He also attempted to sue the state of California twice while he was incarcerated, once for a fall, and the other time because they failed to offer him a low-fat diet in prison.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah, but that obviously didn't get him very far. So prior to the third trial, Rodney Alcala was linked to 4 other murders thanks to DNA evidence, because by this point we're in 2000s, so DNA is now a thing. The 4 other murders he was linked to was Jill Barcombe. She's an 18-year-old New York runaway. She was found in LA in 1977. She was thought to have been a victim of the Hillside Strangler. Obviously, DNA proved that it was actually Rodney Alcala. 27-year-old Georgia Wickstead was found bludgeoned to death in her apartment in Malibu, also in 1977. 31-year-old Charlotte Lamb was found raped and strangled in the laundry room in her apartment complex in 1978. Her DNA was found on a pair of earrings that they recovered out of Rodney Alcala's storage unit. 21-year-old Jill Parento was found in 1979 murdered in her Burbank apartment. So with the third trial approaching, the prosecution attempted to combine Robin Samso's case with the 4 new victims. And while the defense argued against it, in 2006, the court did end up siding with the prosecution. So in February of 2010, Rodney Alcala once again, but this time for 5 murders. He is now 66 years old, and he decided to represent himself during the third trial.
That's never a good idea.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall.
Yes.
During this trial, he also decided to take the stand, which is also never a good idea.
Did he question himself?
Yes, he did.
What a piece of work.
Yeah, so he questioned himself for 5 hours.
How?
He addressed himself as Mr. Alcala in a deep voice, and then he would answer the question in his normal voice.
I hate this guy.
Yeah. He claimed not to remember killing any of the 5 victims. He also was allowed to question Robin Samso's mother. That really pissed me off.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, okay, here's my thing. Get up on my soapbox real quick. So, I'm all for, you're allowed to represent yourself. That's legal. That's totally cool, whatever. He's already been convicted of murdering this woman's daughter twice at this point.
Right?
So I don't care. Like, that never should that have been allowed. He never should have been allowed to question Robin's mother after he's already been convicted of murdering her daughter twice. And it's now been, at this point, I mean, what, 30 years, 40 years? Like, she's had to live with knowing this man murdered her daughter. And now he's like, oh, I'm innocent and I'm going to question you myself. Like, get the fuck out of here. Sorry, Dad.
Yep.
As part of his closing argument, he played the song Alice's Restaurant. Have you ever heard that song?
No.
Yeah, me neither. It's 18 minutes long.
This dude's a freak.
He is a freaking lunatic. So the song is over 18 minutes long. I did not listen to the whole song because it's 18 minutes long. I didn't have time for all that. But just some lyrics for you. I don't know why in the hell he thought this was, I don't know why in the hell he played this as his closing argument. I don't know. Like I said, we might have to, we probably have to do a deep dive into the dating game killer because he really is like a very interesting man.
Interesting lunatic.
Yes. Okay, so just some of the lyrics from the song. That this was his closing argument. I didn't kill these girls. Let me play this. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead, burnt bodies. I mean, kill, 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 kill.
Why?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was trying to find like a reasoning for it, but
How does that do anything for him?
I have no idea. Because he's a freaking lunatic. I don't know. After 2 days of deliberation, the jury found Rodney Alcala guilty of all 5 counts of first-degree murder. He was given the death penalty for the 3rd time.
Oh, so the first 2 times he was also given the death penalty?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's crazy. In 2012, Rodney Alcala was extradited to New York, where he was going to stand trial for the murders of Ellen Hover and Cornelia Crilly, which I already talked about. Initially, he pled not guilty, but in December of 2012, he entered 2 guilty pleas. He was given an additional 25 years for those murders. So that's interesting that he just like changed his mind. I guess he didn't want to go through another trial. I guess he didn't want to have to defend himself again. I don't know.
I guess. Must be.
Essentially though, I mean, he really was just a psychopath. I don't know. I almost really feel like bad for even picking this as a podcast in this case, because I feel like I couldn't give it the attention that it needed in the amount of time that we have allowed ourselves. And like I said, I feel like we just kind of like, when we did it, we were like trying to be funny, and like, it's just really not, I mean, none of the cases are funny, but like this one is like really awful.
I don't think we were necessarily trying to be funny.
I mean, no, but like we were trying to be like cheeky, like fun little song and like 8 awkward dates, but like none of these women were on dates.
No.
Like even a little bit.
No, not at all.
So anyway, just like some other cases, like he was mentioned in 2010 in Washington, the Seattle police named him as a person of interest in the murder of 13-year-old Antoinette Whitaker. She died in July of 1977. And also Joyce Gant, age 17, who died in February of 1978. Their jewelry was found in the jewelry that they got out of his storage locker in Seattle. Other cold cases that were reportedly linked to Alcala were in California, New York, New Hampshire, and Arizona. So, like, not only was he wreaking havoc in California, like, he was all over the place.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Like, he's literally killing people all over the place. In March of 2011, officers announced that they were confident that Alcala was responsible for the murder of 19-year-old Pamela Jean Labson. She was murdered in, did I say that, 1977? She had made a trip to Fisherman's Wharf to meet a man who was offering to take her photo. Her body was later found near a hiking trail. He was never charged on that case, but that's just another one that they think.
Right.
There was enough evidence that they could have convicted him of. In 2016, Rodney Alcala was also charged with the murder of 28-year-old Christine Martin, who disappeared in 1977 from Sweetwater County, Wyoming.
You went silent again. He was too ill.
I said at that point he was 73 years old and he was too ill to make the journey from California to Wyoming for the trial.
What was he ill of?
He died of natural causes in July 2021 at the age of 77. So,
okay.
He's dead, thankfully.
No more wreaking havoc.
I just think, to me, it's insane that he was allowed to, like, to hurt as many people as he did. Also, this is really not even... how in the hell did the dating game let him on the show? He was on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted.
Before he got on the dating game?
Yes. Yes, he was on the dating game in 1978, and he was on the FBI's Most Wanted in 1971.
Well, they must have been like you and not done their background checks.
Obviously, but come on, this is TV, guys. Do you think they didn't do background checks, or do you think someone was like, hey, this guy was on the FBI's Most Wanted, this one?
I mean, I would hope no one is that sick.
I mean, he is that sick, but I don't know. Like I said, honestly, I feel bad. Like, honestly, I just really feel bad that I even covered this case for Podcastmas.
Yeah, that 30 minutes did not really do it justice.
No, it didn't, but like, the Podcastmas episodes are not supposed to be. I mean, I could have done 4 parts on it. I could have.
Right. Well, you'll just have to do that for the Patreon.
We'll just have to like revisit it and put it on the Patreon and do like a multi-part. I mean, because there's really so much more.
Yeah.
Obviously. Like, I mean, like, he's a sick, horrible monster.
Yeah. That he is.
I mean, he's been compared to like Ted Bundy because he was apparently charming and he was good looking. I mean, he was a good looking guy. At one point in the dating game, the girl was like, I'm serving you for dinner. Describe yourself and what are you called? And he was like, oh, haha, I'm the banana and I'm delicious. And she was like, I love bananas. And I was like, this is disgusting.
Yeah, that is disgusting.
Like, what a disgusting human being.
Well, what we should have done is you should have been like, okay, we're here for 8 awkward dates. Just kidding, we're not doing that. Here's another case.
I mean, I guess I could have, but I don't know. I didn't know what to do and it was too late.
Yeah, well.
I didn't have time. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you can tune in tomorrow. I'm sure you probably won't because that was awful.
That was awful.
We probably lost all of our listeners. There'll be Reddit threads about what horrible podcasters we are and how disgusting we are.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm just going to sit here and eat my applesauce and wallow in self-pity. So anyway, we'll see you tomorrow when we cover
9 missing hobos.
9 missing hobos. All right. Sorry I called you a hoe at the beginning of the episode.
It's okay. I forgive you.
All right. Peace out, Girl Scouts. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard and want to support a small podcast, please give us money at
www.patreon.com/weekly dose of wicked, where you can join one of our 3 tiers. At the $5 level, we've got the moderately wicked. For $7 a month, we've got the awesomely wicked. And for all of those high rollers, big ballers out there, we got the $10 level, the extraordinarily wicked. As a member of our Patreon, you are entitled to bonus episodes. You also get a one-time shout out on our podcast, as well as some other cool little extra things going on there. So come on over, join our fan club.
Feel free to give us a follow on Instagram at
weekly_dose_of_wicked, or you can literally just search Weekly Dose of Wicked and we'll pop up because we're the only ones.
For a direct feed of our podcast, please go to
www.weeklydoseofwicked.buzzsprout.com.
Great news! You can now listen to us pretty much wherever you like to listen to podcasts.
That's right, folks. We are big time. You can now hear your Weekly Dose of Wicked on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Plus Alexa, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Pocket Cast, Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, Podcast Index, Overcast, Castro, Castbox, and Podfriend. The only place we can't seem to get ourselves on is Pandora. So we'll let you know when that happens.
In the meantime, make sure to come back next Wednesday for your
Weekly Dose of Wicked. But